When it comes to marketing your pregnancy health organization, visibility doesn't usually break all at once. It slips. A listing isn't claimed, a website isn't mobile friendly, information is inconsistent across platforms. Over time, those small gaps make it harder for women to find you and trust what they're seeing. At its core, visibility is how easily a woman can find you, understand what you offer, and know what to do next. That's what we want to talk about today in this Marketing Minute episode of the Pregnancy Help Podcast powered by Heartbeat International. My name is Delaney, and I am the manager of Extend Web Services. With me is Jack, Extend's digital advertising specialist extraordinaire. We are going to walk through what it actually looks like to build visibility step by step so your center can show up clearly and consistently when women need you most. So, Jack, before we really dive into the particulars, you are on here today because you very much understand the importance of visibility for pregnancy health organizations. Why do you think it's important to talk about the subject?
Well, I think it's incredibly important because one of the fundamental components of this mission is to raise awareness in the public that pregnancy centers exist and they offer fantastic care. So we want to do everything in our power in terms of marketing to ensure that that end is met. We want to make sure that every community is aware of their pregnancy centers and of the support and the services that they offer. So that's really one of the foundational goals of the movement is to raise awareness for pregnancy centers.
Yeah, because when people are aware of what you do, lives are reached, lives are rescued, and futures are changed. So we
Mhm.
touched on this briefly in the introduction of this podcast episode. But when we talk about visibility and the things that hamper it, i- unclaimed listings, like on different search directories, outdated websites,
Mhm.
inconsistent information when you are on like those search directories on your website, on your social media pages, inconsistent info, and unclear messaging. If people went to a couple different spots that your information is, do they have a full picture of who you are? Are you presenting yourself differently on different platforms? And it's funny because I think sometimes pregnancy help organizations think that they have a marketing problem, like they maybe need to be doing more marketing to better showcase who they are and to increase brand awareness in their area. The reality is it might be more of a both and situation. You might need more marketing,
Mhm.
but it's also true that the foundation, your visibility foundation, might need to be strengthened. So that's what we're
Yes.
going to do today. We are going to hit the beginner, we're going to hit the intermediate, and we're going to hit the advanced, just kind of briefly going into what each level looks like. There's definitely more we could say on each topic, but we kind of just want to give you a little snapshot. Jack, how are you feeling about this conversation? You ready to do it?
Yeah, feeling great.
As we step into this, just want to remind you that clarity is going to be king. Clarity is going to help you more than persuasion. Clarity is going to help you more than being clever. And being clear and consistent is going to build trust. So let's start at that beginner level. We want you to be findable. We want your information to be clear, and we want you to be mobile friendly. Jack, it is all you. How do they build what does it look like to build just like a strong foundational base for visibility?
Yeah, so definitely start with a great website. That's going to be the most important foundation of your strategy to increase your visibility online. And as you mentioned there as well, it's so important to have a mobile friendly website as well, especially in this generation. Everyone has a smartphone. The vast majority of web traffic and web browsing is done on mobile devices. So ensuring that your visibility is mobile friendly and it's easy to navigate is super important. Also, a really great quick win that you can get in terms of increasing your visibility that's at no cost is creating your Google Business local listing.
Yeah.
And this is essentially whenever, you search for something, could be a restaurant, could be another pregnancy center, whatever it may be. When the Google listing shows up in the search results, you see all the different information like their phone number, their address, their hours of operation, their email, their website links, and you also see their reviews as well. You can see images of the establishment also. And this is super important because it's a great snapshot, informational snapshot that you're giving to the end user if they are searching for your center. And it also gives you that added layer of legitimacy that shows you're a legitimate organization.
Right.
You have your everything in order. You show the services that you provide as well, and also being able to show those reviews. That's a great way to build trust, to show other people, we're going to be much more inclined to visit a business or visit a center if it has positive reviews. So having that, it's a form of social proof, and it increases the trust with the end user. So
Mhm.
getting that local search listing established on Google is great. It's a great free and relatively painless way to increase your visibility, and it also helps with organic search rankings as well, because
Mhm.
when Google sees that you have this active local search listing, and all the services and all the contact information aligns with the content on your website, that bodes well for Google placing you higher in organic search rankings as well. So it really just helps boost your visibility in those regards. And it's also important to make sure that you do have those clear call to action buttons,
Mhm.
not only in your Google local search listing, but also on your website as well. So we want to make sure you have different call to action buttons like call us, text us, let's talk, get in touch today, things like that that are going to prompt the user to take the desired action to get in touch with you.
Mhm.
Those are super important as well.
When you're talking about a device being mobile friendly, I know that we talk about that a lot, and so we know what that means, or like a website being mobile friendly. What does that look like for someone who maybe is unfamiliar with that language? Because somebody might think, well, yeah, our website pops up on like phones
Mhm.
when people search. So what is it? What does it mean to actually be like a mobile friendly website?
Yeah, it really comes down to making sure that your website um, is formatted properly in the mobile experience. So you don't want the same desktop experience to happen on the mobile experience, because wording would be cut off,
Right.
buttons would be cut off, and it just wouldn't function uh, as it should. So it's really just tailoring it to that mobile experience that's separate from the desktop. And also, if you have different copy on your website as well, you want to make sure that that's formatted correctly and it doesn't look
Mhm.
like a bunch of random scattered paragraphs all over the place. But it
Right.
really just comes down to like effective formatting.
Yeah. So your website should look as natural on a phone when you pull it up as it does on a desktop. And sometimes it does mean it might be formatted a little differently. As far as local search is concerned, I know obviously we suggest people really take advantage of the Google business profile, but it is important to adopt other listings as well. I think you might have touched on that as too. I mean, I know Google's the big giant, but whether it is Yelp or Yahoo or wherever there's going to be search engines and search directories, um, if you have the capacity or you have a tool that allows you to post on all of them, then
Mhm.
that is a good thing to build up for setting the foundation, right? I know I'm asking a very leading question, but like that is helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I would say Google is the most important listing to get down, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's also very important. Again, if you want to increase that visibility, there are people that still search on Bing, Yelp, different, or even Apple as well, like different listings like that. And if you have the tools and the capabilities to copy and paste the information from your Google business profile to those other listings, then that's fantastic as well, because they're just broadening your reach.
It always cracks me up when the different Extend team members are talking about certain things, and you can tell like there's certain topics or bits of information that we want people to grasp. And I know one of yours, you, Jack, is like, yes, yes, there are these other ones as well, but please do Google Business Profile first and then do those. Oh, that cracks me
Yeah.
up. Okay. So something to just like a quick gut check question is if someone landed on your site from their phone right now, would they know what to do in a few seconds? And so that goes back to what Jack was talking about, having clear call to actions, making sure your website is formatted correctly so that it is a very easy experience that when they get on your website, it is very clear what you're wanting them to do. Not like in a demanding way, but you've set it up so that it's an easy flow. Like if you're wanting them to schedule an appointment, then that's what's going to happen. If you're wanting them to um, contact you, like give you a call, then you're making those call to actions very clear. So I'd encourage you to pull up your website on your phone and just see what kind of experience you're having um, with those, like looking at through that filter. So now we're on to intermediate. Again, these are going to be like very quick. Hit them, briefly touch on a couple of things that are important, and then we're going on to the next thing. So, intermediate. At this point, we're wanting you to show up when she is actively searching for you. So the first one was just making sure you had consistent a foundational visibility. This one is you are in the game. When she is when a woman facing unplanned pregnancy or something is in need of your services, she can find you. You're going to be placed in front of her. So we touched on one of them uh, in that beginner stage, the website having some like um, the call to actions and making sure that you build in what you're wanting her to do. The other thing that you want to consider for your website is that you are talking to her in the way, or you're conveying information in the way that she is searching for it. So you want to give her real answers. You don't want to make it difficult for her to figure out what you're saying and what that means for her situation. Let her know what an appointment is going to be like. Let her know what her options are because she's already probably heard some, if not all of her options. And so make it clear that you also are aware of what her options are when it comes to this pregnancy and that you're ready to talk through them. Um, if you have medical services, then she might be looking for an ultrasound, that make it clear that's available to her. As she is facing this uncertain time in her life, kind of speak to what she should expect, not only from what is happening potentially inside of her body, but also what to expect if she reaches out and engages with you. She can already see it, especially if your website is built where it's like, say, like a warm, engaging, compassionate tone. She can kind of see that you're setting yourself up that way, your organization, but also just what does she need? Like, does she need to schedule an appointment ahead of time? Can she walk in? Can she just talk to you over the phone? Just kind of put out that information that would help calm her, give her answers, and already start building upon that trust. So that's your website. Just when she's engaging with it. But another thing we have to talk about at the intermediate level is ads. In the past, we Google search has been king, and not that it doesn't still have quite the impact, but things are changing, especially with AI. And that is as much as I'm going to say about it because I'm going to pass it off to Jack to talk a little bit about how is AI changing the game? What do we need to take into consideration as we're building out our websites?
Yeah, so I think AI is definitely having an impact on search in general, search ads, because now with chatbots, it's a lot easier to quickly gather
Mhm.
the exact information that you need. So I think that women in kind of the informational gathering stage, they will rely more heavily on the use of chatbots.
Mhm.
And that's a good and a bad thing as well, because it's obviously eroding a little bit of the Google search traffic, where someone would be searching
Mhm.
directly in Google. But that being said, when you're still searching within a chatbot, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever, you're still going to get links, external links to different websites. So if you want the probability of your center being included in the response from a chatbot, it's super important to make sure that everything is sound with your website. You want to make sure that your website is optimized for search engines so that you have relevant, authoritative content. It
Mhm.
all makes sense. It all lines up with everything that you offer at your center. You want to make sure that the information that you have on your website is legitimate and authoritative. And you also want to make sure your website experience is top notch because you are competing in a realm of many other competitors who,
Right.
also have great websites too. So making sure that you have all those pieces together, that will help increase your chances of coming up in the response results of a chatbot. So that those are very important elements to make sure that you have. You want to make sure that you have clear language, nothing deceptive, because
Mhm.
that can be kind of snuffed out pretty quickly nowadays. So you want to make sure that you clearly define what your services are at your center. Um, any sensitive information, you want to make sure that it's clearly defined and you have any resource articles to back up your claims. Um, Things like that, just to make sure that everything is relatively compliant, and you show that you're a legitimate center. Um, just to kind of add on to that, I think that also, AI is starting to erode Google search in general, but
Mhm.
it's also important to understand that Google Ads itself is evolving into more intent based matchmaking
Yeah.
with ads. So we're not so reliant anymore on having people search exactly what your keyword is in order for you to be shown in their search results.
Mhm.
Now, with Google's AI and their automation and their machine learning capabilities, they're much more efficient at being able to understand the intent of the users that you're trying to reach with your ads. So no longer do you need to rely solely on people searching the keywords that you're bidding on. It's a lot more advanced now in terms of setting your campaigns up in a way that Google is going to understand, okay, I'm going to look and find someone who clearly has this intent, is clearly um, looking for pregnancy help in some capacity. I'm going to serve the ads to that person because I can see there's a clear intent based on what content she's consuming, uh, different articles that she's consuming, things that she's searching as well, but it goes much beyond search. So I think that bodes well for us, especially when we're using more advanced campaign types like Performance Max, where the ads are shown not just on Google search, but on YouTube, Discover, Display, Gmail, and Maps. That intent based matchmaking with our ads is going to be so important moving forward in the future, so that we're not simply relying on Google search. So I think that's kind of the silver lining when people get a little bit scared about
Sure.
chatbots taking over search.
Mhm.
I mean, like I said, I think they are eroding it to a degree, but um, there are tools in place like Performance Max campaigns in Google Ads that help kind of circumvent that issue.
So at the stage, we are building off of that foundation and we're going deeper into some of the information you've already said, like specifically where we're talking about here, your website, the type of information that should be on your website to help with that organic search, and then the client journey once she gets on your site, and then also your paid search, how well you're showing up in those results. And something else I want to talk about, so we've talked about the type of content, um, and what we're seeing with AI. But also, I wanted to go back a little bit before we leave the intermediate section and talk about clarity. So on your website, your brand's going to come through. So say you have that like warm, engaged, compassionate or something. Your language can be that way, just make sure it's also clear. You don't want
Mhm.
to lean so much into like the emotion that you don't provide her with a clear pathway. And again, we've talked about the call to actions, but I mean even like on the call to action buttons, making it clear that this button is going to help them like talk to you. So you might say something like, you're not alone, or we're here for you. Um, Compassionate support for your unexpected journey. Like you might say it however kind, and sometimes when you're being warm or trying to emotionally connect, it's a little vague. So you've got to make sure that you're pairing it with strong call to action. So Jack, what are in your experience, what are some like really clear call to action buttons that you have utilized in the past?
Yeah, I think it's very important to have the, the very basic, but they're so important, like the call us,
Hmm.
text us, get in touch, let's talk. Um, any call to action buttons that are prompting the user to reach out in some capacity. I think those are super important. And also like it's important to have the ad copy again reflecting the services that you provide.
Hmm.
And like you mentioned, it's important to have that compassionate messaging, but you don't want to overload it too much, because then it kind of becomes vague about, okay, what does this center actually offer? It's better to kind of sprinkle in that compassionate messaging, while also being very clear about what you offer,
Hmm.
what to expect at the center, the benefits of getting care at this center, things like that, that people, they want to know, okay, what is this place all about? That's ultimately what they want to know. So having having that information, I think, is most pertinent, and then sprinkling in the compassionate, like reinforcing language, and then the final piece of that is having those call to action buttons, because after they sift through all that information, they find out what you're about, what you offer, they feel reassured, then you lead them to the call to action buttons.
Nice. So your gut check question for this intermediate section is, are the real questions I'm going to ask your team answered clearly online? So the conversations you're having every day, the things that they are asking you, whether it's on the phone or they're shooting you a message or they're talking to you in person, are you putting that information? Are you answering those questions on your website too? Okay, we've made it to the final level, the advanced level. We're just going to look at what is it at this advanced level? How do you build familiarity before she needs you? Before she needs you, sometimes also like before she reaches out. So you have that strong foundation where it's basically just making sure the correct information is where it needs to be. And then you have a website that really speaks to her, makes it clear what she needs to do to connect with you, has that nice authoritative, consistent language. After you have set those things up, then we're looking at building basically brand awareness in your area. And a great way to do this is through social media is one way. So that's a great way to show your personality on places that she already is. Sometimes Facebook, although that group tends to be a little older. Instagram, again, that group tends to be not older outside of your, like, say, 18 to 32 age range, but maybe the mid to older of that age range. Snapchat, TikTok, these are all places that you can build up your brand presence. They can start to like feel like they know you before they've ever interacted with you, before they ever need your services. And that looks like introducing your team. And it's not pandering. Like you don't have to do all the trends. In fact, a lot of times I would say do not do the trends um, unless it makes sense for your center, maternity home, your organization. But you could have set things that you do, like a nurse video or fun team intros. There was that time, I don't remember, I think it was like was it the Full House theme song where people would play that song and then like introduce their team, just doing like the smile and freeze frame. Like that would be a fun trend to jump on. That's an easy one where it doesn't feel like you're stretching or being cringe or anything. You could give them behind the scenes access. Show them like what does it look like when you come in for an appointment? What does it look like to be a walk-in versus having an appointment scheduled, to pregnancy tests, ultrasound options, like whatever it is that you can give her a behind the scenes look at. Let's do it. Show her the faces that she would see if she came in, volunteers, and um, also what is some educational content. I think it's Gen Z loves a good informational video. Um, like I do not know the specific statistic, but I know that oftentimes, they might be searching in TikTok versus or YouTube versus Google. Um, so having educational content that speaks to not only like an unplanned pregnancy and what's happening in their body, but things like around that topic, like periods and, a, f- a woman's cycle, things that you can kind of speak to are great ways to put yourself on her radar. This Having content like this and being consistent with this content um, makes you appear because you are real and approachable, honest, uh, trustworthy, human, all things that they'll remember if they suddenly are in need of your services or they have a friend who is in need of your services. This also extends not just like the organic social media, but increasing the brand awareness in your area through search advertising and awareness advertising, which Jack is going to speak about.
Yeah, so a more advanced tactic would be, let's say you started to run Google Ads in some capacity, whether that's just standard search ads or if you use some more advanced Performance Max to hit all of Google's advertising channels, whatever it may be. Google is fantastic. It's a foundational paid ad platform. I would say it's also like very necessary as well to expand the reach of your center, help your center grow.
Mhm.
But adding a layer on top of that and building out your media mix by having um, social media ads, so running ads on Meta and Instagram, that adds another layer to your media mix, and it all ultimately helps you increase your visibility
Mhm.
because running social media ads, it's much different than Google search. Google search or Google ads in general, it's much higher intent. People are trying to reach out or find immediate help, whereas social media ads, it's more about nurturing and building that awareness and trying to become top of mind in your target audience's minds. And a lot of times, women they won't know about your center or that they even need your center until they're made aware of it in on social media like Meta or Instagram. So it's important to have those ads because she might see one of your ads while she's scrolling through Instagram, and she might not need any pregnancy help whatsoever at that period of time. But perhaps 6 months, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, she might need assistance. And being able to have that impression already in her mind that, oh, okay, I saw this ad for this center that's in my area a while ago. I remember that they offered these services that I need. That's that's how you supplement then the Google ads performance as well, because she's had that impression from the social media ads, and then she goes and she conducts a search on Google. So it's really great to an advanced tactic to, again, build out that media mix, add on top of Google ads the awareness and the visibility play of social media ads. And again, you're likely to not see many um, hard conversions come in, like phone calls or schedule appointments directly from these social media ads. It can definitely happen, but it's much more of a brand awareness and recognition play. And as the way you mentioned, like being able to express your center's brand more and who you are and what you offer. It's a lot more informational and educational. And that's so important nowadays, especially because people want to see if your brand has a personality and if it aligns with them and what they want. So very important. Highly recommend if you are in that stage of growth at your center to build out from Google Ads to start running ads on social media, especially if you already are creating content organically for your Meta, your Instagram, your Snapchat pages, whatever it may be. You can leverage that and just use it in a paid ad as well.
Nice. So your gut check for the advanced section is if someone saw your content before they needed help, would you would your center feel familiar and trustworthy? And we've been talking about social media and so like paid ads on Meta and other social media platforms. But it really is this part right here speaks to however you're putting your brand out there. So whether you're doing teaching engagements or you have a booth at a local community fair or you are putting advertising out there, all the ways that you are broadcasting who you are and what you do, all of that stuff. Would they feel like you are familiar? Would they feel like they're trustworthy? Would they even be able to recognize you? Are you consistent enough for them to know what your brand looks like? Are you prolific enough for them to have been exposed to you enough to know what your brand looks like throughout across all of those different ways of communicating and advertising? Okay, now we're going to leave you with two final things to consider. One is as you are building visibility, it's important to make sure that like what you're doing is working. So what we talk about all the time is like, how are you going to measure it? What is your base point? How do you know if there's growth? All those things. So Jack, can you touch on this? Because you don't need to track everything, but you do need to watch some things. So if somebody is trying to see like how impactful their marketing or the visibility is, what would you suggest they take a look at?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, if you are very focused on driving more appointments at your center, then you want to make sure if you are running a Google Ads campaign that conversion tracking is set up properly so that you're able to see how many phone calls, how many form submissions were driven by your ads. And these are metrics that we care the most about because ultimately that's the main goal of our advertising, especially on Google Ads, is to get those high intent audiences converting, get them calling your center, filling out forms to book appointments at your center. That's what we care the most about. Um, we don't want to get too caught up in kind of the vanity metrics on social media for running social media ads. Like likes are important, but it's important that if you are running ads on social media, you want to look at overall growth of your account. Are you gaining followers?
Sure.
And it's also important too to look at the number of clicks and the number of impressions, because again, it's much more of an awareness and engagement play running advertising on social media. So we want to be able to see, are these ads resulting in high value clicks to the website? Are they reaching a lot of eyes? In and Instagram feeds or meta feeds or whatever it may be. Um, these are metrics that we care about because ultimately it comes down to um, growth, and that is the goal that we want to achieve when we are running these strategic ad campaigns, whether it be on Google Ads or on social media. We want growth and we want people coming into the center. So really honing in and focusing on those key metrics and not getting too caught in the weeds with vanity metrics, but really having that growth mindset is super important.
Yeah, and as always, if you're working with a marketing partner, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to ask questions again and again if you don't understand what a particular metric means or what it's telling you or how it um, is in alignment with the goals that you are trying to reach. You are not dealing with the metrics every single day, so it's okay if you have to keep asking that question. The other thing that I'd like to impress upon you and just reassure you about is we know that you have ideas. We know that you have all kinds of things you would like to do, that you have strategies that the Lord has given you. Just sometimes you run into the issue of there's a lot to do. There sometimes are fewer hands than needed. And sometimes the stuff that is on your plate, on your to do list, all that is so much. So when we talk about visibility and you go to see whether or not yours is consistent and clear, then I would encourage you to just take one bite at a time. Like maybe set aside a day or a week where you intentionally spend time just kind of looking in the different places that you've put your information and seeing like, is it consistent? Are you showing up in different search directories? What is it just saying on your website? Your social media platforms, if you're on any community directories. So take a time just to kind of get like a base level and then also see like what is our branding look like? And that might be another week. You might take another week where you're just like, okay, looking at everything we've put out into the community, whether digital or traditional, how are we appearing? Do we have the same consistent brand? And then I would put together a to-do list of like addressing the things that either need to be done at the foundational level, need to be added at that intermediate, looking at really building up that website, maybe doing some Google ads, adding some things to your site that'll make you more um, prevalent on organic and paid searches and AI searches. And then at that advanced level, what does it look like to consistently put your brand out there in a way that people feel like they've built a relationship with you? All those things don't have to happen at once. And it probably is unrealistic unless you are blessed with a large team for you to do all those things at once. So I would put out a plan this over the next 6 weeks, over the next 3 months. And that might seem like a long time, but in reality, there's going to be so many other things you're doing, and you've got 12 months in this year. And if you can actually focus for the next 3 months, increasing that visibility, your visibility strength, then you're going to be in such a better place for the upcoming years. It's putting certain processes in place as well as you make these changes, making easy processes. Sometimes if you can make something trigger something else, awesome. It's if you have the option, making sure there's multiple levels of accountability and also multiple people working on the projects, and you are very clear about when the due date is, and that you know are in agreement with whoever's working on this. So all of those many words just to basically say, like I said before, it's taking that next best step and having a plan that you can, like a light plan that you can move forward. Honestly, you could take the things that we have talked about, the things that you find that like are lacking when you do that visibility review and that brand review, pop that in AI and then say, you know, like, what does it look like to make changes over the next 3 months and how have it build it out for you. Okay. We have so enjoyed spending this time with you, right, Jack? You've enjoyed this?
Very much so.
Thank you guys so much for spending your time with us. Please tune in next month for another Marketing Minute episode.